Fetching data from CSV file, data-driven testing or DDT. It is a good practice not to hard code data within your automation code, but rather use variables to store the data so that the values of these variables could be changed if you want to test different iterations. For example, if you want to test different usernames and passwords for a login page, then you use these usernames and passwords as variables and assign different values to it by using data-driven testing. Automation is very helpful or effective in these kind of testing because there you can test as many iterations as you want, and a repetitive kind of task can be tested very easily with automation. Now, how do you store this data which will be assigned to the variables? There are different ways you can store. One is like you can store it as a Excel file, or you can store it as CSV file, which is comma separated values. And another way is to store the data in the database. In this video, we are going to talk about data which is stored in a CSV format. So the way you can create a CSV file is you can open Excel and create your table which has the values which you need for variables, and then you save that file as CSV file. So CSV file has data which is in which the variables are separated by commas. So here, let's see an example of a CSV file. This is a very simple CSV file. So here you see that the first row is actually the headers. So it's for example, there's a search text, username and password headers, and these are the columns. And within search text, below that search text heading, you'll see Selenium and WebDriver. These are two data variables, and similarly for username and password there are values for those. So you see that each of these data is separated by comma, except the last value is not separated by comma. Now, how do we fetch this CSV data into our automation code? So for that, we create a class called CSV data in this case, and write this code there. You can copy paste this code and just tweak it based upon your own settings. And the objective of this code is to fetch the data from the CSV file into what is called data table. Data table is data in the data table is arranged in rows and columns similar to a spreadsheet. However, data is stored in memory of the computer and not persistent. That is, it's not saved. So here in this code, you see that this code will read the data from the CSV file, and there is a class, there's a method called getCSVData, and it has a parameter of a string CSV file path, and it will return a value of the type data table. So for that, you have to import these libraries also. So one is the system.data, and the other one is system.io, which is needed for stream reader. So you can fetch the data using this stream reader class. So you create an object of that stream reader class, and Within that, the parameter for that object is CSV file path, which will specify in the other class where you're going to call this method, this get CSV data method. So this code is basically going to read the data from that CSV file, and it's split based upon comma, and then it will put that data into a data table and return it to the method which is calling it. Now this method get CSV data is being called from the other our test case class. So let's go to our test case class, which is basically searching Google search test. Basically, it's just sending some values in Google search text field and searching it. So here we see that we define that variable called CSV file path and give the path of it, and then we create a object data table object variable called obj_dt, and obj_dt is equal to uh, here in this statement we are calling that method which we reviewed in the other CSV data class. So that method is called get CSV data, and we provide that argument of CSV file path which we declared and initialized here in this statement. So once that method is called, it is going to return us the data table, and then we are going to use this for each loop to go through all those different rows within the data table and assign it to search text variable. We already declared that variable on the top here, and once that value from the data table is assigned to that search text variable, then uh, we can one navigate to google.com and put that value into the into that field, and then press the enter key to search for that value. So basically this here we are just doing like one field, we are just using search text, but you can use you know you can use other for additional variables also. Here we are only taking one variable from that CSV file. Let's run this test to demonstrate how it works and how those variables values are fetched from the CSV file, and then those variable values are passed in as a search text into the field at google.com. So let's run this test. It'll launch the launch the Chrome browser to enter the search text, which is Selenium, and then it'll press the enter key, and it did one search. So this was the first iteration, and since there are two rows, so it goes through. It will do two iterations. So again, it opens browser, enter WebDriver as a search text, press enter, and did the search, and then it will close the browser. So this is how you can retrieve fetch data from CSV file, and this example of data-driven testing. So you can change values within or assign as many values as you want. Here we just test this search text variable. Similarly, you can do the same for username and password also, and add additional rows of data, and whatever number of rows you enter, the test will go go through that many iterations.